Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on TalkSport. Now, you and your kids may be familiar with the Gorgeous George series of books. The latest, Grandpa Jock, and the Incredible Iron-Bru-Man Incident is out now. I think it gives you a flavour of the kind of books written by our next guest, a man who loves his football, worked over doing little Scottish football segments over in Dubai when he was working there, and he's a Falkirk fan. It is Stuart Reid. Stuart, good to see you.
Good afternoon, lads. Thanks very much for having us on.
It's a great pleasure. They're interesting books. They kind of tap into. Andy was talking about his grandkids earlier on, and there's certain thing that little kids like, and a bit of kind of cheeky humour. Is one thing that always sort of hits the spot. Rude words. The chance to say the word poo, Andy.
Poo goes down incredibly well.
That's all you really have to say on the grandkids fall about laughing, don't they? And there's a bit of that going on in your books.
A bit of it. It's everything. It's everything that's entire books. It's bums and bogies and big bottom burps. And I was living out in Dubai, and the world ran out of money. And my wife Audrey said, "You've got to start writing stuff. You've got to regress back to your childhood and have some fun again." And I started laughing. I started writing yucky stuff. Came back to Britain, the books came out, and for the last few years it's been an absolute roller coaster. Book number 8 is out today. Today's the day it officially launches. Grandpa Jock and the Incredible Iron-Bru-Man Incident. It's about an old guy who makes an Iron Man suit in his garage. Made out of iron brew tins. So it's about recycling. It's about superheroes, aliens, and basically saving the planet.
So it sounds fun.
Go on. I'm going to say, I'm just interested to know, when you first get into writing children's books, you obviously feel, Stuart, when you wrote your first book, you had a kind of feel you could pitch it right. But how do you know, how much kind of testing do you do on whether you're getting it right with kids?
When I first began, my daughters were quite young, and they were happy to read the books and give me some feedback on them. And then I began getting invited into schools.
Yeah.
And as soon as I started pitching the first book in schools, the teachers liked it because reluctant readers were suddenly interested to start picking it up and reading a little bit more about it. The further it's gone, the more kids I've spoken to. I've now been up to 2,000 schools and libraries and book festivals. I think I've probably presented to 250,000 children around the world, and the feedback's all the same. It's about getting kids excited, engaged, enthusiastic about wanting to pick up books and reading them more often.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be highbrow stuff. It's bums and bogies.
I was about to say, because you signed the book and you signed Reading Rocks, which is, not Reading Rocks, obviously, but Reading Rocks, and it's a sort of similar market to Walliams and David Baddiel. They've hit this same sort of thing that you've hit upon, that kids like this slightly naughty stuff, and it's a good thing. If it gets them reading, that's a good thing.
You've got one of the tamer signatures on the front page of the book.
Yeah.
And Reading Rocks is one of the nice ones I put in. Big bottom burps, big boogers, pots of porridge and poo. It's from my...
a lot of alliteration going on.
No, but from a school point of view, the teachers love alliteration, they love visualisation, they love onomatopoeia, and if I can introduce that in a fun way as part of my assemblies in schools or at book festivals, the kids are learning. They're having a good time, they're laughing and they're listening, but they're learning at the same time. The pots of porridge and poo actually comes from my unidentified unsinkable underpants book. And it is basically somebody gets rabbit poo mixed up with raisins, and they end up putting the raisins in the porridge, and one of the teachers eats it, and of course you just need to take the mickey out of teachers, and kids are rolling around laughing.
Is this great illustrations as well in the book?
I've got a fantastic illustrator, John Pender. He's a designer. We've been working together now for several years. We just seem to click. He'll come up with ideas, I'll come up with design ideas. I say, John, do you think you can do? One of the phrases I have when we're sitting in the studio is, I've got a bit of a mad idea, John. Yeah. And he just puts his head in his hands, but he comes up with it. It sounds like it's
kind of right for animation. There's a real animation style to the illustrations. Is this something you're looking to do, or you're doing already?
Absolutely. I would love to meet animators, filmmakers, TV show, movie makers. It doesn't matter. The idea is to get children, reluctant readers, and even mums and dads into reading books at bedtime. The best time in my life when I had a proper job, I used to wear a suit and tie, but coming home at night and taking the tie off and spending half an hour reading bedtime stories to my children was amazing.
Yeah.
And it's something now that my children are a lot older. I kind of miss it. So I'll have to make up for it, going into schools and bringing my stories to life.
You were the voice of Scottish football on Golf News Radio, weren't you, for a while?
Golf News Radio too.
Out in Dubai.
I phoned up the radio station and I said to Sparky, who's a Scouser, an Everton fan, you don't talk about Scottish football. Why not? You've got 2 8-hour shows on a Friday and a Saturday and you never mention Scottish football. He says, I don't know anything about Scottish football. I said, I do. Put me on.
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of expat Scots working in the sort of oil industry and stuff out there. So there was a market for it.
Paul, disaster. 50,000 expat Scots, and I went on the radio the first time, and Sparky's going, yeah, you support Falkirk, but what's your big team? What's your big...
No.
And I thought I'd sit on the fence.
You're supporting Falkirk, aren't you?
I said, I'll sit on the fence. I'm completely impartial. I dislike Celtic and Rangers in equal measure. And that,
oh dear.
I alienated about half the audience.
Yeah. Well, the whole audience probably, or about 95%.
And then, of course, the Fifers found out I was a Falkirk fan, so the Dunfermline fans hated me and the Raith Rovers fans hated me. How I managed to pull it off for 2 years, I've got no idea.
So why is it you're from that part of the world?
Yes,
I take it?
yes.
You weren't glory hunting when you chose Falkirk.
2008, we got to the Scottish Cup final.
Yeah.
Played against Rangers. I actually, bless you, I actually commentated on the final on Golf News, and we were lucky. Rangers were lucky to win the match 1-0, but it was, for me, it was a tremendous honour to be able to commentate my own team in the Scottish Cup final. So
have you thought about, has there been any kind of football links in the Gorgeous George stories? Have you written anything football related yet?
Absolutely nothing.
Right.
And the reason for that is I don't want to exclude people. I think the girls love the stories as much as boys do. It might be yucky, but you'd be amazed at how many girls love boogers.
Yeah, so they now love football too.
Yeah. Oh,
of course,
true.
yes, I should say that.
Yeah.
I'm coming from a background where my children didn't like football, but yes, maybe it's something. There's a girl, 2 main girls in the book amongst the other characters. There's Grandpa Jock and Gorgeous George. There's a chap called Crayon Kenny, who puts crayons up his nose. There's the twins Ben and Barbara who live next door, and a girl called Alice in Wonderland who's got Alison's got an amazing imagination. So maybe the girls in a future book might get into footy.
It's interesting, isn't it, in a sort of politically correct times that we live in now, that A, kids would like this, and B, that teachers would go along with this, because obviously some people would say, you don't want to be putting crayons up your nose, that's very naughty.
Health and safety nightmare.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
I actually make a point of saying, please do not put crayons up your nose in school, children.
Well, I have to say that to Andy every day. 5-1. I say, all right, mate, and I'll tell him what's in the show, and we've gone through and then I say, don't put any crayons up your nose.
Yeah,
and
true.
So far, so good, eh?
So far, so good, I'm tempted.
We can still change that.
So 8 books in. How long does it take you to write a book these days, Stuart?
My first one took me 2 years.
Wow.
Because I was living in Dubai, I had a proper job. It was like a hobby, and I gave up my job, my career, my salary, my pension scheme, my house, my insurance policy. I gave it all up to become a full-time author. The first one took me 2 years.
That's bold.
And then I start... It was bold enough to leave Britain in the first place. We sold our house, moved over to Dubai, and we saw that as a future career. And 2 years in, it wasn't as much fun as we wanted it to be. And my wife persuaded me to start writing, and I thoroughly loved it.
Yeah.
Second book took me 6 months. Second book is called Gorgeous George and Zigzag Zit Face Zombies. Based upon a true story. They are snot zombies.
Based on a true story. Loosely based on a true story.
I went to a school, and there was 300 kids there. And I said my illustrator had drawn pictures of zombies, and the kids went mad for zombies. I wasn't into the zombie genre at that point, but all the kids loved the whole zombie thing.
Yeah.
But the first 4 rows were taking it in turns to pick their nose.
Oh.
No shame. They were all doing it. And I came home, I said to my wife, you'd never believe what I've seen. She goes, you've got to write about that. You've got to take a zombie virus and have small children sniffing and sneezing and snotting over everybody. It's wrong to write about children biting dead children, stuff like that. No,
it's
about
I think that's probably a bridge too far.
I love this line about you, though. It says about the author, Stuart Reid is 52 years old, going on 10.
I regress, absolutely. My job is a laugh, it's a carry on, and it's about getting kids engaged to start reading more books more often. And if I can have a good time doing it, hopefully the kids and the mums and dads, it's a little bit pantomime. I do a show at the Edinburgh Festival. This will be my 6th year. This year's show is called Fantastic Flatulence and Where to Find It. Probably my show, to be honest.
Yeah.
And the idea is that there's pantomime jokes in there. There's stuff for the adults that will go right over the kids' heads, and the kids will have a great time as well.
Wow. You've turned up in a kilt today for us. Is that the Reid tartan?
It's not the Reid tartan. It's called Highland Grey.
Okay. It is very grey. Normally they're quite colourful, aren't they?
Yeah.
I like wearing this one because it's only 5 yards long. Normally a kilt's like 8 or 9 yards. The military ones are 10.
Yeah.
And there's no way I'm going to be jumping around on a stage for up to an hour with 10 yards of wool wrapped around about me.
That's very
So
good.
I wear a lighter one.
Fantastic.
But the idea of that is one of my characters, Grandpa Jock, is an old Scots guy. He wears a kilt all the time, and I like to think that when I'm reading from the book, the children can visualise.
Yeah.
I talk about turning the television sets on inside their head so that they can begin to see pictures. Too many kids get iPads or tablets thrown at them and they become the babysitters.
Yeah.
But it's learning that skill to be able to visualise the words on a page like a movie inside your mind. It's fantastic. Any book you pick up for the rest of your life, you'll be able to visualise it and be taken away to fantastic places.
And finally, there may be some mums and dads out there thinking, I read stories to the kids. I feel like I maybe could have a children's story in me. Is there a kind of bit of advice you could give how to kind of pitch it in such a way or write for kids? What's the key to it, really, would you say?
Write as often as possible. Read it out loud. Read it to your kids, and you'll get the tone and the intonation and the inflex in your books.
Trial and error, really, from doing that.
Absolutely, and have fun when you're doing it. It's got to be fun for the kids. I was at the Edinburgh Festival last year, and one of the dads came up to me and he said, "That was brilliant. You're like Billy Connolly for kids."
Wow. That's a compliment.
What a compliment is that? It's amazing. I was chuffed to bits with that. So I've actually put it on my posters this year. It's have fun. Make sure the kids love it, make sure you're enjoying it, and read it back and just get some feedback from the audience.
And where can we see you in Edinburgh then? Where are you playing?
It's a venue called Maggie's Chamber at the Three Sisters, 3:15 every single day. I don't take a day off. I'd rather be up there on stage jumping around and doing mad stuff. 3:15 every single day from the 1st through to the 25th of August.
And the new book is out, you say, today, and people can get them, Amazon, all the usual...
Everywhere. Good bookshops, not so good bookshops, Amazon, online. Yeah, they can order it in.
And any head teachers or teachers listening today, you're always available to come in?
Always available. My website is stuart-reid.com. Stuart with a U, Reid with an I. That's all I do. I tend to go to around 250 schools a year.
Wow.
And my job is simply to inspire children.
Brilliant. Well, Stuart, it's infectious. Thank you very much for coming in. We salute your enthusiasm and keep up the good work.
Brilliant.
Nice. Keep kids reading. It's so important.
Thank you, lads.
Yes, Stuart's latest book, Grandpa Jock and the Incredible Iron-Bru-Man Incident is out today. It's Hawksbee and Jacobs here on TalkSport.